Hi, this is Amy Finley with KnittingHelp.com. I'd like to do a review of the Knitter's Pride line of interchangeable needle sets. This line has taken the world of knitting needles by storm and are hugely popular, and we are featuring, I believe, the three most popular sets. This is the Cubics set, and this is the Dreamz, what they call their Symphony Dreamz and Symphony Cubics, and the Nova, very popular Nova set. And this line, one of the notable features of it, and they all have this in common, is a wonderful cable. These are really popular with magic loop knitters, and the reason for that is they are firm enough to hold your knitting as you go without sagging too much or getting tangly or twisty, yet very flexible enough to bend to a nice narrow point to pop between two stitches and stick out a section of the cable outside of the knitting, which is a magic loop technique for doing small diameter knitting. So you actually can do with this set any diameter knitting project that you wish. They have up to a 40-inch cable needle or circular needle length using the longest cable, and they also include two 32-inch circular needle length cables, and the shortest one is a 24-inch circular needle. This is measuring tip to tip on the needle once they're attached. So let's take a closer look at the Cubic set. This is one thing you'll note right away is that the sizes are printed on the needles, and that is really exciting for a lot of interchangeable needle fans. And so this kit runs from US size 6 or 4 millimeter all the way up to US size 11 or 8 millimeter. And so that's 7 sizes included in the set. And as with any interchangeable kit, the way these work is you just pull the needle tip out and attach it to your cable. And now these, you'll notice, have a little hole at the cable joint for using an included key, a connector key. And this just gives you a little bit of grip on that narrow cable so you can give a little extra tightening. And the other thing I want to note about this little hole, in addition to being great for putting a key in for tightening, is that you can actually insert dental floss, put some dental floss through that for inserting a lifeline. There's a video, I have a video on that, and this saves you a step in inserting the lifeline. Very handy to have that little hole. And so here we have both tips connected with the Cubic set, and you'll see that you can actually, this is unique. This, can you see that this is a square needle? That's hence the name Cubics, and it has a square profile. And what a lot of knitters like about that is a little less strain on the hands, so that you can manipulate the needle without having to grip it as hard, in other words. So that's nice. And these are lovely, beautiful. It's a great surface. These Cubics have a really nice, smooth surface. This is densified laminated birch. And I'll just feature this case for a moment. I love the size of this case. This is a great portable size. And it has a pocket in here for the cables and end caps. Oh, and let me also make sure I mention the function of these end caps. So basically what these are all about are when you find, say you have a sweater on the needles and you decide you want to do some other little project with the same needles, you can slide the knitting onto your cable and pop on these little end caps, and that holds the knitting on your cable. But before you put on your last end cap, another thing that's unique to this set are these included size markers. And so you can take, each one has a different size needle printed on it. So it has both US size and metric on the back, and you can just slip it on to your cable. And that way you won't forget what size you were knitting with when you're looking at this project without any needles on it. So that's very awesome feature. So that's the cubic set. And now we've got the Dreamz. These are really popular. They've got, I think people like, well, it's the same laminated, densified laminated birch wood, sourced in New Hampshire, I believe. And these are manufactured in India, I understand. But the wood is sourced sustainably in New Hampshire, which is nice. And but these ones are colored so that each size is a different color, and that's very handy for telling them apart. Of course, they also have the size printed on them once again. Very nice feature. And anything else unique about this set? Well, yes, the case. This is actually the same case as the Nova set, so I'll just show you once. It's got 14 pockets in it, so that you can insert a pair of tips in each pocket. And the tips included are 9 sizes of tips, so you can put a pair in each slot and still have 5 slots left over, which is handy if you buy, for instance, the sampler set, which includes 3 different sizes of our 3 different needles that we're featuring in our store. So we've got the US size 8 of the Nova, and US size 7 of the Cubics, and US size 6 of the Dreamz. And it comes in its own little case with a couple of cables, which you can also make use of if you decide to put it together in a bigger kit, if you ever get one of the deluxe kits like this, or you can keep it as a standalone. And it also comes with the cable keys and end caps. So that's the Combi set that we feature. It's around 20 bucks, I believe. Nice way to try out the needles, decide which one you love. So there's that. And one more thing that's included with this set, and also the Nova, is this handy little case just for keeping your cables contained, because you'll have multiple size cables, which is great, but you don't want, it just makes it a little easier. Plenty of room in here. You pop these in the middle and all of your needles along the pockets, and you still have room for other accessories, your measuring tape, stitch markers, etc., and maybe even a small project could be stuffed in there. That one's pretty generous. And last but not least is the Nova set. This is a very popular set for good reason, and I really like these. Actually, I use these quite a bit. These are the original, some of you may have heard of Addi Turbo needles, which are kind of like the Cadillac in the knitting needle world. These are the same manufacturing process, I believe. They certainly have the same slick surface, nickel-plated brass, hollow nickel-plated brass needle tips. And so these are the slickest surface, and a lot of knitters love that for, extra fast, smooth knitting. And they are really nice, particularly with kind of your average wool yarn, say. A lot of knitters like to have more than one set. I do, for sure. So that I have some really nice, fast, smooth needles like this for your kind of mid-range or rougher yarns. And then if I'm dealing with a really slick yarn, I actually prefer something like a wood needle or the Denise needle kit that we carry. Something that's got a little more, can allow a little bit more control of that kind of yarn. But anyway, so the Novas, the one thing that is actually distinct from the Addi Turbos And I think it's actually a nice feature that the Addi Turbos doesn't have, is this point. And this tip is great for lace knitting or even just, you know, any project, in my opinion. It's pointy enough to be able to get a good knit 2 together, even a knit 3 together, and which are, you know, these really tight, tricky stitches. You can work them with these tips. And there actually are pointier tips out there, believe it or not. But that's when people will complain that they are hard on the index finger as you're sliding the work up and pushing against that needle tip. So there's a fine, happy medium in the knitting tip world, and these all meet that medium very nicely, in my opinion. And so that's, I think, oh no, there's one more thing I want to say about these. People with arthritis in their hands often go for the warmer to the touch needles, and I can see why that's a good way to go. If, however, you're a tight knitter and you want something a little slick, one thing that you can note about these needles, even though they're metal and they will feel cold originally to the touch, the fact that they're hollow allows the shaft to heat up pretty quickly. And because they're not double pointed needles that you're letting go of to dangle in the cold outside air, you know, and get cold again, you know, you're holding them the whole time in a circular knitting environment. And so that allows them to stay warm. So check them out. And if you're not sure which one you want to go for, again, we have the Combi Sampler Kit, which has one of each size. And these are great sizes to have extra needles of, frankly, and a couple of extra cables as well. Can come in handy and be part of your final kit. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this review, and let me know what you think of these needles. Leave your comment or review below, and drop us an email if you have any questions. And thank you for supporting the KnittingHelp.com videos by purchasing these through our site. Much appreciated. Take care.